Welcome to the Tangent Gentleman, where each week Scott and I start with a topic from the previous episode, and then we see where the conversation takes us. Somewhere along the way, there will be an idea, disagreement, or question that sparks a tangent, several probably, and that tangent that we choose will become next week's discussion. What's going on, Scott?
Hey there, Brad. How you doing?
I'm good. So
me too.
We are talking tonight about the spirit of the Olympics.
Yes. I did my homework. I watched the Miracle, the Disney movie.
Okay.
Then I watched a documentary about the story behind Miracle. And then the other thing I watched, which I thought was fascinating, was the story of the Russians from the 80 hockey. Like, the Russians that lost.
Okay.
Like what happened to those guys and what. So
yeah.
I don't know, a lot of perspective on patriotism and playing for your country and the spirit of the Olympics. So,
all right. Well, I'd kind of started my research a little bit, like thinking what would we be talking about here with just the history of the Olympics. Did you do that?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So, I found out that almost 3,000 years old. Back to, I wrote that down here, 776 BC, started in Olympia in honor of Zeus. So The Olympics have been around a long time, and what was interesting to me, pretty much the same format, same structure. Of course, different events, but the 4-year structure and, a lot of carryover in today. So I found they, started in 776, and then around 300 or 400 AD, Christian Roman emperors stopped the Olympics because of the pagan ties, and didn't start back up until 1896 in Athens.
Yeah,
and it was a French educator that organized the first Olympic committee and got the 1896 Olympics together. Oh. Did you see that?
Yeah. I did not. No. Because I kind of knew he was French. I didn't know he was an educator.
Because he thought it could, promote peace and cooperation internationally.
Right.
So,
yeah, that was kind of one of the themes that I kept coming across, the idea of sort of the patriotism versus, specifically it was about patriotism versus nationalism. And how the Olympics were on everyone being proud of their country and representing their country, as opposed to my country's better than your country.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really interesting, take on because that's personally, that's one of the things I struggle with is this, I don't know, I get a little put off by people wrapping themselves up in the flag a little too much. And because I think, I think it's so much more about all of us than it is about any one of us, Yeah. So, and I kind of feel like that's what the Olympics, as much as the Olympics is about individual or team performance, I do think I'm representing my country,
Yeah.
And I mean, you talked about what you said. Your first sort of entry point was watching wrestlers, right?
Well, that's what I remembered. And man, I found out today that I jacked up all kinds of dates and in the history and the timeline of everything I was talking about with that. But I kind of figured out where it came from. So there's a couple. So I coached wrestling. Starting in the late 80s and all the way through the late 90s. So, I was interested in wrestling. So kind of what I got mixed up last week in talking about was I remembered the boycotts in 80 and 84 because it was like at that time, U.S. and Iran and Soviet Union, they were all wrestling powerhouses. And so Iran not being there, and they boycotted both the 80 and the 84. I'm not sure I didn't look into what the story was behind behind boycotting the 80s. I mean, 84 was in Los Angeles, so that makes sense. So, you had all these internationally known wrestlers from Iran that didn't make the Olympics during that time from the boycott. And it, there was a notable, you noticed them missing from the Olympics. But then what I was talking about last week was, and we can get back to the spirit of the Olympics, but this kind of captures how sports kind of, can overcome a lot of politics sometimes. And in the late 90s, in the Wrestling World Championships, Iran invited the U.S. to Iran, which was a big deal. It was, I think it was 1998, and I don't think any sports teams had been to Iran since the hostage crisis in what was that, 79 or 80?
Yeah.
So, just being invited was a big deal. But then, what really was dramatic about that, when the American wrestlers got to Iran, they were treated like celebrities by the Iranians. They wanted autographs. They stood up applauding them. And then there was a big wrestling match between I think the Iranian was favored, and I don't remember the names at all, but it was a big American victory that this American wrestler beat this Iranian powerhouse wrestler. And at the end of the match, the Iranian wrestler holds up the American's hand, and the whole crowd just started chanting U.S. The Iranian crowd started chanting USA, USA, USA. And I was like, oh gosh, you would never think something like that would happen at that time with U.S. Iranian relations.
Right. So are wrestlers still just college kids or college students? Are they
in the Olympics?
Beyond that?
Yeah, they can be, but they can be well out of college. There's
okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if you're still competing at that. This the whole idea about in the Olympics of amateurs, because that was one of the issues with the whole 80 Olympics with the hockey team, is that the Americans were truly college athletes, whereas the Soviets were all they were identified and as great hockey players, and they were enrolled in the Soviet army, but they were professional hockey players, and their job was to play for the Soviet Union.
I said that with confidence, but I don't remember that the American wrestlers were all college athletes. I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah. I just didn't. I mean, it's been an interesting thing with the Olympics, how that transition. We had the dream team in basketball. We have. I mean, I saw a thing for the Winter Olympics, like two of the skiers. They're multimillionaires. Like they're funded. They're not amateur athletes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're funded to the tune of multi-millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And that's true for. I don't know. I guess there are professional skiers. I don't know how that system works, but
I don't know either. But I'm sure they make big dollars in sponsorships.
Yeah.
So do you have a problem with that? You say you don't. You think?
No, I don't really have. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because I think there's a bit of it's a facade to say that college athletes, are truly amateurs. They're not paid.
No.
I don't know how far back now, obviously, but I don't know how far back you want to go to say, when are athletes getting paid? I mean, there was we talked about books we read last week. Remember Rex Chapman played basketball for University of Kentucky?
Yeah.
So I read his book a couple years ago, and he talked about when he went into the NBA, he actually took a pay cut from what he was making at UK. Like at the University of Kentucky, he knew which booster to see after which game, and they would just hand him an envelope.
Yeah.
And he was an amateur, supposedly.
So when Rex Chapman was in high school, they were in the King of Bluegrass basketball tournament, which is the basketball tournament that at the high school where we worked, and it's one of the biggest in the nation. and they had a sold out crowd the night he played. And they had people climbing up the side of the gymnasium into the gymnasium windows in the old gym to get in to see Rex Chapman play basketball in high school. Wow. So he was a star in high school.
Yeah. 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 It was pretty amazing to hear reading that story about how, just as far as his recruitment and what he did. Yeah. There's a story, this is not at all related to this, but he was talking about this is way off track, but hey, that's our show. He was talking about, people were talking about Aaron Rodgers and how Aaron Rodgers had these particular views about, this was specifically related to vaccination. And someone said, well, Aaron Rodgers is really smart. He went to UC Berkeley, which is a prestigious school, which it is. And Rex Chapman said, so just for the record, just so you know, I got an 18 on my ACT, and I got admitted to every Ivy League school. He said, so I'm not sure that going to Cal Berkeley and being the quarterback of a caliber of Aaron Rodgers necessarily means he meets all the academic requirements for UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was one of the funnier stories I thought that was in that book. But no, I don't really have a problem with it. I think we saw that this year with the hockey players, the men's hockey team. Those guys are all in the NHL.
Yeah.
But that was true joy. They were genuinely proud.
Yeah.
And, good team camaraderie. It was everything I think of when I think of the Olympic spirit. I'm going to do my best to represent my country.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with obviously, it's going to be, they're going to have a flag football at the summer games in LA.
Yeah. Well, that's something I was wanting to get into was some, I was going to ask you about some things like that. But, just the spirit idea, I kind of talked about the, those World Wrestling Championships, but, I just think more about how it captures a global community. And it kind of, I like to think most people, we are all, any given moment, there's people, every minute there's people coming in and going out of this journey that we're taking on Earth. And we're all in the same space at any given minute in time. And, you kind of see that and feel that in things like that World Wrestling Championship or the Olympics. You're representing your country, and you're going to do the best you can, but at the same time you're going to respect everybody else that's doing the same thing you're doing, and it's in the same game that you're doing.
Well, and you're somewhat modest. You said you coach wrestling. I also know you were quite the accomplished wrestler too, and when you were in high school. And I just have great respect for this level of athlete, and I think there's a camaraderie. Regardless of what uniform or you're putting on, you have great respect for the other person who worked that hard to get to that place.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. And to me, that's a big part of the spirit of the Olympics. What's the motto? Higher, faster, stronger, or whatever that is in Latin.
Yeah,
altus. I don't speak Latin very well, but I know that's the spirit, or that's the motto. And I think that is respected across the, whatever it is, across the mat, across the court, across the rink, across the, you are here because you worked just as hard as I did to get here.
Yeah.
And I have great respect for you for doing that.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, I think that's why the Iranians, who I had no idea the Iranians were such, renowned wrestlers. But I think that's why the Iranian people who were at that match stood up and applauded the USA, because this isn't a political issue. This is I recognize your effort and your talent, and I want to applaud that. And that to me is, you talk about we're all on this trip together on the earth, and I just feel like we lose that a lot,
Oh gosh, yeah.
Our common path is a lot more common than our uncommon path.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so there's so many things pulling people and trying to separate people, and unfortunately, it seems that a lot of leaders of nations all across the world, that's their goal, to make that separation.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
And find out what's different more than what's the same, what we all share.
Right. Well, and that's where, like, if you want to get into the patriotism, which I've always considered myself pretty patriotic. And, one of the things that I really like about the United States is the motto of E pluribus unum. I mean, there's many of us, but together we make one. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the strength, should be the strength of this nation. And I feel that the Olympic spirit is doing that same thing, both by a nation, but also by a global community of we are here to represent the best of sport. Because I love sports. I just think sports are so, it sometimes are just physically amazing. It sometimes are just so elegant in the ability to do things at the speeds at which they do things. We were watching the Winter Olympics, a month ago, and my son and I were like, what would compel you to go 70 miles an hour down a hill?
Yeah.
I just can't fathom getting to that place where I could do that,
but those people are just built different.
Yeah.
You look at somebody like Lindsey Vonn and all the,
oh yeah,
horrific crashes she's had, and she still goes up there, no fear, just reckless abandon,
Yeah. Well, you look at those, the snowboards, people do the half pipe trips, those guys. And it reminds me of this thing I saw once with Chris Rock, the comedian, talking. And he said, who I have, one of the groups that I have the most respect for that I think get disrespected a lot are skateboarders. He said, because I watch a skateboarder do a trick, and I know from stand-up how many times I have to do a joke to get it right. When I see a skateboarder do a trick, what I see is that guy fell down or that woman fell down 30 times before they landed that or before they did that. He said, I have great respect for skateboarders. And it really just, it really just changed my opinion of those guys are a bunch of slackers hanging out at the skate park. I'm like, no, they're working on a craft just like everybody else,
So what kind of person are you? Do you like watching those videos of someone breaking their arm and it bending like an accordion, or do you
no.
I can't watch that. Oh man,
that doesn't. As much as I love medicine and medical related things, and I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah,
I'm not fascinated by broken bones. And
I can't.
Have you broken bones?
It hurts me so bad. I have never broken a bone. Well, they told me one time that they thought I might have broke my toe, but they don't do anything for it, so they taped it to my next toe or whatever and said,
"Yeah,
you'll be fine." But no, I've never broken a bone. Have you?
Oh yeah, I've broken a few. Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I broke my collarbone cycling one time. That was pretty brutal. It was sticking out.
Oh,
not
through the skin?
Not out of the skin, but sticking up like a hump. And I went. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I was a ways away from anything, so I rode a couple miles to a friend of mine's house, and his mom was a nurse. And I ride up into in front of their yard, and she sees me right away. She's like, do you know you have a broken collarbone? I was like, yeah, I knew it hurt. And I was like, thanks. That, and then I broke my leg ice skating.
Oh, you told me about that. Yeah.
That was brutal.
Yeah.
That was probably the worst. Those are only two, I think.
So have you ever seen a dislocated finger?
Yeah, I had one playing soccer years ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
First one I ever saw was a wrestling match. A kid named Josh Hill. He came over holding his hand. Coach Weston, my hand hurts. And he held up his hand, and his ring finger went up to this first knuckle and then crossed perpendicular across these two fingers.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen that. I thought he broke it horribly. But then the trainer came over. He was from Humana. it was in a big wrestling tournament, so they had some paid trainers there, and he told him, he said, I can fix this right now. It's going to hurt though. He said, you ready for that? He said, yeah. And he did something and popped that sucker back in.
Yeah. I dislocated my pinky playing soccer one time, and it was the same thing, but it went that way. It was just like bent. And my coach is just like, hey, you'll be my coach. Fascinating guy. He was my parish priest. That's the guy who taught me to play soccer. But before he was a priest, he was on the U.S. Olympic soccer team.
Really?
In 1968. And before he went into the priesthood, he was a kicker for the San Francisco 49ers for a year.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting
Fascinating
dude
guy. Fascinating guy. And, but yeah, so I was playing goalie and my finger or whatever. And he just, oh, you'll be fine. He taped it back to the other one. He pushed it, squeezed them together and taped it together. And it's fine.
So I wrote something down when we were talking about, I don't want to make this whole episode about wrestling, but Iran's history in wrestling is ancient. I mean, it goes back to like Persian warrior training.
Wow.
And it included philosophy and poetry and music and art and athletic training, of course, and strength training and all these things. But the whole thing about it was humility, respect, and all this kind of things, and that carries over to Iranian wrestlers today. I think that's part of what happened at that World Championship. So when you were talking about, you didn't know Iran was such a wrestling powerhouse. I mean, it goes back, several hundred years, maybe thousands.
I mean, I'm not just saying this, trying to, whatever, suck up to my co-host, but you and our friend Nick, both high school wrestlers. Like, that is just a determination and I admire that. I remember when I was really small in freshman year in high school. I weighed 88 pounds my freshman year. 4'11", weighed 88 pounds. But I was pretty strong.
Same here.
And we had to wrestle. You were?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we wrestled in PE class, and the guy that wrestled, I think it was 92 was the weight class.
Probably 98.
98?
Yeah.
Okay. The guy that wrestled was in my PE class, and I beat him in PE class. And the wrestling coach came to me the next day and was like, hey, I heard you wrestled against this guy, and, I'm thinking you want to be on the wrestling team? I was like, I don't want to do that. It's like, oh, why not? I was like, no, because you guys have to like starve. I mean, I heard all these horror stories. You have to starve yourself. And
well, you wouldn't have had to starve yourself weighing 88.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And, and honestly, when I look back on the whole arc of everything, there's part of me that kind of regrets that.
Yeah.
Because I think if I had adopted that mindset as a freshman in high school, it would have paid dividends. I'm very happy with how my life turned out. But I think there is like you said, humility, determination, a work ethic that I would have benefited from.
Yeah. It's a great sport. And you talk about humility. When you first start wrestling, your pride gets hurt. I mean, it's one-on-one and you go out there and somebody just kicks the shit out of you. What are you going to do? You get up and you shake their hand.
Yeah. Well, I remember,
thank you for the ass kicking.
You were there. You were probably there. You may have been a counselor. I'm not sure what you were figured out when this happened. When I'm going to say late 90s, early 2000s, we at a pep rally, we did a thing with the wrestling team and we wrestled our weight class. Like the teachers volunteered to wrestle their weight class. And I think at the time I weighed like 165 or 170. I don't know what I weighed. And I wrestled the guy. What was his name? I want to say his last name was Tyler. Jeff Tyler, maybe.
I don't know.
And he wrestled. I wrestled him. And I was just like, all right, he's not good. We agreed we were only going to wrestle for 3 minutes. We weren't going to do a full match. And I was like, he's not pinning me. Like, that's all. I'm not getting pinned. And he didn't pin me. Man, I was never so tired and beat up after those 3 minutes.
3 minutes for somebody that's not in shape and not a wrestler. That's a long time.
He just kept flipping me over, and I just kept arching to fight because I asked somebody, maybe you, I don't want to get pinned. I don't want to get pinned. You're like, well, don't let them get you on your back. If they do, arch, get out of it. Yeah. And I just kept fighting and fighting, and it was funny. but yeah, I just remember, and he was really mad because he was for sure going to pin me. And I was like, you're not pinning me, Jeff. I'm just telling you. You're not pinning me.
So, going back to the Olympics, what do you think? How do you feel about nations boycotting the Olympics?
Yeah, I don't know. I try to look at it from the perspective of the athlete.
Yeah,
that's got to be a horrible thing, right? I mean, you become a political pawn.
Yeah, I just don't think it's the platform.
Yeah,
I mean, can you imagine? Like you were talking about the respect you have for someone competing at that level. You've been waiting for this for 4 years. You've been waiting for this opportunity for 4 years. And now, somebody high up in government decides, well, we're not going to go. We're holding everybody out. I think that is just a terrible. I mean, I understand why it happens. I mean, you got a global audience. You got every media covering, the event. And so I understand why it happens, because those leaders get the response they want. But, really, if you think about like you said, the athlete, and think about the people that have been preparing for this, and think about the good that comes out of the Olympics internationally, it's just not the platform, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when you go back, you talk about the history, like when you go back to like the Berlin Olympics, when Jesse Owens.
Yeah, he smacked Hitler in the face, didn't he?
Yeah. But I'm saying, like the Nazis wanted that to be their global stage, to say they were the dominant race.
Yeah.
And not so much.
Jesse Owens said, no, let me show you these 4 gold medals.
oh, my beer. But so I'm, that's the first, in my mind, the first example of the political, using athletes for political pawns. But I'm sure it goes back. I mean, I know it goes back, because if you talk about, you said the 1896, like what was that movie? Chariots of Fire.
Mm-hmm.
They talked about the role of those athletes, British versus the Indian, because India was whatever the legal classification was, India was sort of a subcontinent, or was a subcontinent, but is a subcontinent. But, it existed under British rule. And so you had a lot of people who were British who lived in India who were competing in the Olympics. And, just that whole dynamic of how does the imperial nation, who do they use to represent their country?
Yeah.
And so I guess what I'm trying to get at is where is our point where we say, oh, well, the Olympics were pure up until blank happened. And sadly, there's probably not a point.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
So. I did see that in the ancient Olympics, they had the Olympic truce. Whatever wars were going on during that time stopped.
Yeah.
During the Olympics. But, it's the ancient Olympics, it sounded like they were more like a, like a big party. They had music and art and poetry and philosophical conversations. And
speaking of the party, did you see what happened at the Winter Olympics? They went through like 10,000 condoms in the first 4 days at the healthcare clinic.
Who gave that information, or where did they get that data?
I saw it somewhere, like the health clinics were running out of condoms.
Well, there you go. The spirit of the Olympics. Not only are we talking humility and respect, we're talking love.
Connecting with your fellow athletes in every way possible. That's important. That's part of it.
Well, if any babies come out of that, man, they're going to have some good genes.
Exactly. Yeah, that actually gets me to another. Have you ever read the book
There you go. You're going to ask me about a book. I don't,
Oh, my gosh,
I remembered after last week, I did read Killer Angels. Matter of fact, I think my dad gave it to me. That's the Civil War historical fiction book.
Yeah, yeah.
I just don't remember titles of books I read.
Yeah, that sounds like I can imagine Ron Weston recommending that book. That seems like it is a great book. I mean, it is, I'm not a historical person or historical fiction fan, but a friend of mine said, you got to read this. You really love it. And he was right. I loved it. Gosh, what's that book called?
You forgot a title.
Yeah, I did. The Sports Gene. That's what it's called.
Oh, yeah.
And have you read that? You know of that?
Is that that's the
it's the book that Malcolm Gladwell cites for the 10,000 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it's not, Gladwell actually kind of got it wrong.
Did he?
For what's in there. But basically this author looks at the idea of are there athletic traits that are genetic? Is there a genetic facet to certain athleticisms?
Well, wouldn't the answer be a simple yes or not?
Well, yes, except to the 10,000 hour argument is, can you get there?
I guess it would depend on a sport too.
Yeah.
I mean,
so this guy goes, go ahead.
I always felt like, and I think you were a baseball player, so you can tell me this because I didn't play baseball. I always felt like baseball was a sport that an average person could get really good at if they put in the hours.
Except hitting.
Hand-eye coordination.
I think hitting a baseball is one of the hardest things to do in all of sports. Yeah. Because it's so, I mean, there's a book called The Physics of Baseball. And they talk about, this is one of the things they talk about. You have not you, and a Major League Baseball player has 0.02 of a second to decide if they're going to swing or not.
Yeah.
So they have to recognize something in that pitch, in the spin or the location of that ball, that it's going to do this, it's going to curve, it's going to dip, it's going to come here, go there, and then decide if they're going to swing, and then make contact with it.
Yeah. Does a baseball player start their swing on every pitch? Just start it?
No.
Okay.
I didn't. I mean, I wasn't that great of a baseball player. And when I coach kids, I never told them to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I pretty much, my strategy was you kind of divide it up into 6 quadrants. And then you decide where is it? Where is this a hit for you? Is this a hittable pitch?
So I never played baseball. When we used to play faculty, a couple of times we played a faculty baseball team baseball game. And Greg Longacre told me one time, he said, take a half swing, get your bat out here and just think about putting your bat on the ball. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me because in baseball, because I got several base hits, go out there and slap the bat to the ball.
Yeah. 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 I was a very percentage-wise, I was a pretty good hitter, but it's because I was fast. Like I could put a ball in play and usually, not always, but I had pretty good get on base percentage.
What about those left-handed softball batters in women's softball? I mean, they're halfway to first base when they hit the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, the sports scene, it's interesting because he goes into specific, not only humans, but he also goes into, like, specifically for human geneticists, he looks at why are like Kenyans and Ethiopians, why do they have a disproportionate representation in distance running? Why are Jamaicans?
What was his answer to that?
Training in high altitude.
Yeah, that's what I always heard. Yeah,
that their muscles, they have genetically been conditioned to deal with lower oxygen.
Yeah, that
their muscle fibers fire with lower oxygen. They basically process oxygen better than you or I.
Yeah.
So therefore they can deal with it better. And then I've got a very at-home specific example of that.
So I go fishing a lot with a guy here in town that grew up in Wyoming, a little town. I think it might be called Encampment, but way up, high altitude.
Yeah.
And he chain smokes. And when we go ice fishing and pulling that big ice hut and the sleds and everything out there, he pulls that thing a quarter mile and never gets out of breath. And I'm breathing like a daggone, somebody is getting ready to go to the emergency room. So there's something to that growing up in that high altitude.
Yeah.
Because that's what he said. He said, he said, I guess it's just, growing up in high altitude.
Yeah. 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 Maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting book because he also talks about, one of the other ones he does is talks about the Iditarod dogs.
Yeah.
Like which dogs are best sled dogs. And that one's interesting. And again, it gets back to the presence of a certain muscle fiber. But basically the story is, the best dogs are the dogs that never quit. Like not the fastest dogs or the strongest dogs, but it's the no quit dogs. Those are the ones that trainer, this one particular trainer would go after. So
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, those people are crazy.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we're far afield from our topic.
So let me ask you one more question, though.
Okay.
How do you feel about judged sports?
It seems to be pretty borderline corrupt.
And I was just thinking about that because I don't really enjoy watching them. Like when the Olympics are on, it's almost every night during prime time, it's figure skating. And that's one of the sports that I don't, particularly enjoy watching. And I think the reason is because there's not any measurable outcome, Yeah. And I don't know. I was just wondering, I was going to ask you the same thing as I was thinking. Is it because we're math people that we like the measurable outcome? We like to see, okay, who's the fastest? Who's the strongest? Who can pin that guy's shoulders to the mat? Who, do you think that's why we like it?
I don't know. I think for me, it goes a little deeper because I want to believe, even though I want to believe in a meritocracy, that you do a thing better than me, you deserve to be recognized. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of times you see these skaters and they do amazing things.
Oh yeah.
And you can't deny that, wow, that person went up in the air and spun around 4 times. And I know that's got a name, and it's a quad something. But so that deserves to be recognized. But if 4 people jump up in the air and spin around 4 times, what are they looking? And the other part for me is when you get to the scoring,
it's artistry, right? I mean,
yeah, right.
And you do see that. I mean, there's some, like when I watch figure skating, there's some people that are just really beautiful to watch. Just the flow of it and everything. But I just have a hard time, and I almost hate to say this because I don't want to be controversial. But like, is it even a sport if there's a human evaluation of artistry? Is it a performing art, or is it both? And because to me, I'm thinking, like, particularly figure skating, to me that is a performing art. What's the difference between that and ballet? Why don't we have ballet in the Olympics?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know.
And I'm not making light of them. They're very good at what they do. I don't want this to come across as negative, but I'd like to see a measurable outcome.
Yeah.
In decision.
So to your point, your initial point about history of it all, when did we start to get into non-objective sports? in the Olympics? Like I wonder when that became a thing. Like when did it become?
You know what?
It's not just the farthest or the fastest, but
we were just talking about. So we were just talking about this. Okay, just now, me and you, or I brought it up. So in the ancient Olympics, it was like a big festival, arts, music, poetry, philosophy. I wonder if it just kind of is a carryover from that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I think, haven't those events been, well, the Winter Olympics were later, 1896, and so the Winter Olympics were later, so figure skating, but I don't know when gymnastics came in, but that's all. It is always where you have your big controversies in judging.
Yeah.
But, why did these particular art forms, why were they brought into the sport arena? And now I'm wondering if it's a carryover from the festivities of ancient Olympics.
Yeah. It could be. Right.
Yeah. But I enjoy, I like seeing something. I like, fastest swimmer who crosses the finish line first.
What is it? It's in its translation. It's faster, higher, something. Altius, something, whatever the Olympic motto is. I don't know.
There's symbolism behind the Olympic rings too, right? Do you know what that is?
Supposedly they represent the 5 competing continents.
Okay.
So.
Yep. Interlocked and together.
Yep. Yeah, when we were when we were in Paris a couple years ago, they had the Olympic rings on because they were in Paris that summer, and they had the Olympic rings on the Eiffel Tower, and there was some speculation that they were going to leave them up there. And I thought, I don't like that. I don't.
Did they?
Do
you know?
I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah. But I don't know. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
What's your? Do you like Summer Olympics or Winter Olympics?
Probably summer, I think.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. And I think probably because I ran track, so that like appeals to me.
Yeah.
But again, it's back to your point about, because if I'm faster than you, I get to the finish line before you, and I know I'm faster than you.
Yeah.
There's no subjectivity in that. I am faster than you or not.
All right, so we're at about 40 minutes. I guess we ought to start wrapping this up. I hope I didn't do a very good job of keeping track of our tangents today, so I hope you got a good list. Okay,
I got a few. So what about a grade? Are we? I'm all in on the spirit of the Olympics.
Yeah,
I think it's in its purest form, and even in its most jaded 21st century form, it's still a good thing.
I'm going to give it an A. I think the negative pieces of the Olympics, like boycotts and you got some things like the Atlanta bombing and things like that. That's all outside of what I'm thinking. But with this group of athletes competing internationally and the things that happen in there and the good that's involved in that, I'm saying an A. I think this is my first A.
That's mine as well. You know why? Because it's our 10th episode. You told me that was our 10th episode.
This is our 10th episode. All right. High five.
Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought we'd get to
10? Yeah, it's fun, man.
Yeah. We're good. All right. So let's
read
see.
yours, because I don't have much on mine.
I got patriotism, coaching, boycotts of 80 and 84, sports versus politics. What does it mean to be an amateur? Is there a global community? Work ethic. Then the sports gene and subjective grading.
Man. So I had broken bone videos.
Actually, I had that too. Videos of calamity. I had I forgot I skipped over
I
that.
did have jeans. And I wrote down priest. I don't know why. Oh, we were talking about your priest.
My soccer coach, yeah.
Yeah. I wrote down, I put high altitude training. I don't have much of that. I was too much in the conversation.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, one of our listeners said it would be cool to get a moderator in here to keep track of our tangents, so we didn't have to do that. And what do you think about that?
Idea.
You like that idea?
I think that's a great idea. I really do.
I do too. So
I think, and it also kind of could put like a sort of a cap on what we talked about.
Yeah.
Because I think, like you said, we kind of get wrapped up in it at times, and we don't.
Yeah.
So
let's look into that. We did a little bit, and kind of the hard part is how to involve somebody in our episode live so they can do that, remotely.
Yeah.
I know we can do that through a live stream through YouTube. I looked at that. That might be one way to do it. So we'll have to consider that.
Yeah.
So what sticks out to you?
Our loyal listener for the suggestion.
Yeah. CJ.
CJ.
So what stands out to you on that?
I don't know, Brad. Let's see. I don't know that I don't know. I mean, we talked a few times about boycotting, and that could go lots of places. Like, are boycotts effective in general? I don't know if we want to get that. Could get ugly and political, and I don't know if we want to do that. But,
well,
subjective grading. We could probably do 5 episodes on that, being former teachers.
Yeah.
Or subjectivity of grading. Coaching. I don't know.
Well, let's.
Or why did I say amateurs? What does it mean to be an amateur?
No, but we did talk about that.
That's a question I have written down.
What about coaching? Let's go with coaching.
Okay. All right. I can go there.
Do you just want to leave it at coaching, or benefits of coach? No, or what would be a good...
something we could grade on?
Yeah.
So to speak.
Hey, I shaved my beard, and you're probably about ready to shave yours, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. March 22nd.
March 22nd. Yeah, you should tell that story. It's if you don't mind sharing it.
No, I don't mind at all.
I think it's a pretty good story.
A few years back, my sister, who I was very close to, passed away. And she passed away on October 30th. And the year before, I grew a beard for the first time. And she commented how, I've never seen you with a beard. I really like it. And so I decided that from October 30th to March 22nd, which is her birthday, I grow a beard.
Yeah.
And every day every day I think of her, but during that time period, I'm reminded this is what I call my Bev beard. So,
yeah, that's a cool story.
So, yeah. She was a wonderful person. Yeah. One of the best people I ever knew. And I'm not just saying that because she was my sister.
So every time you scratch your beard, you think of her.
Yep. Every time. So,
all right, coaching.
Coaching. Let's see.
I'll just leave it at coaching.
Because I'm thinking I got a couple ideas already. Of where I think it can go.
Okay.
But I don't. I want to. I'm trying. Yeah, let's just leave it at coaching.
Coaching.
Because I can.
Hey, let me ask you this. So, if we go with this moderator idea, it's not really a moderator. What would you call it? I think maybe it is.
I would call it more of a producer type.
So if we go with this idea of a person writing down our tangents, listening to our conversation, how do you feel about letting that person make the choice of what's going to be the conversation the next week?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think that's be good.
I think that might be good.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes.
That doesn't mean we can't disagree with them and may have some debate about it. But
I think you're right. I think that's it. I think he or she makes a suggestion or two, and then if we push back hard on it, then you get, just like if you came up with one or I came up with one.
Yeah.
Well, you push back, and I mean, don't you say in our intro could be a disagreement?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I wonder if CJ was volunteering for this.
I think he was. I don't know if he really was, but
we'll see.
I'm thinking he was. Maybe we'll see in the responses if he gets back to us.
All right. So next week
he may be our most loyal listener. So
So next week we have coaching. All right, Scott.
All right.
Everybody, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.